Oh, I'm Steph.
And I'm Michael.
This box is very large.
It's huge.
It's very large and in charge.
Welcome to Mosaic,
Colossus
a,
edition.
a story of civilization. The full name of it is Mosaic, a story of civilization. And yes, this is indeed the Colossus edition.
So you'll see a lot here that might not be in the regular retail edition, but I'm also gonna play with some of the retail stuff. But
Just to show everybody.
we wanted to get this to the table as soon as possible because we just played this at BGG Con and we both really liked it.
Spoiler alert, it's fantastic.
We love this game. And we just went through setup, so we're not gonna have to go through all the setup with you. But we'll explain what we're gonna do for the setup.
I was going to tell you all what the playtime is on the box and
Can't
player
find it.
count.
We're not about to pick up
And-
the bottom of the box and try and look.
Oh, my spleen.
It
That's
definitely
like that'll
says
be
6 people.
1 to 6. Playtime says 120 minutes. I think it's probably your first game is going to be a lot longer than that. Just
Getting the
be
hang of it.
ready.
But it also depends on how the end cards are in there.
It absolutely does, and I'll explain a little bit of that when we talk about the setup. Time roll says setup is 120 minutes.
Gameplay is 90 to 120. Setups 120.
I would highly recommend someone teach you the rules before just trying to dive in this all on your own. Now, I will admit the gameplay is a lot simpler than it seems, and really good civilization games are much simpler than it looks like overall, and this is no exception. All of the actions that you are taking are little bite-sized chunks. Don't plan on going in there and doing a combo of 4 actions in a row. It's not going to happen. Take your bite-sized chunk and go on to the next thing you're going to do. Joe says at least 60 of the game time is set up.
Yes.
Slitters, I'm pretty sure here Michael just volunteered to teach the game to anyone here in chat who wants to learn. Yes, that's what we're going to do right now.
We're gonna make a 2 rules video.
A rules and a playthrough.
Rules and playthrough video.
So
make sure to check the playthrough if you're watching this right now, because we're gonna go through the rules.
That's right. Let's go ahead and see what's here while I get rid of this huge box. So, in a 2-player game, you are not even going to use Hispania or Gaul. So those sections are out of play. Now, what we were told is that when we start out, the starting area depends on your color of your civilization. This is not accurate. So I planned on taking this red just so I could be in a different area from Steph, and it turned out it doesn't matter. So weirdly enough,
I can always be red.
You could have been red.
That's okay. I'll be.
But that's okay.
I'm gonna.
So you can indeed always be red.
He's just trying to confuse me.
I've got to have some advantage.
Oh my god! I did win that first game, by the
way. You did actually. So what you are going to do to set up is, first of all, you are going to get your player board. Just choose one that looks good. It says Rome on this red one. You do not have to start in Rome. Notice I'm over here in Greece. Don't worry about it. It is fine. Then you are going to seed the map. Notice that we've got all these tokens all over the board. How did we decide to put those in those locations? Well, here's what we started out with. Notice on these locations, there is a little stained glass representation of ships on these locations. These are where port cities can be, and correspondingly, you're going to put these fish tiles on all of those locations to start off. Then you are going to put all of the cash tiles face down and mix them up. The cash tiles look like this, and they go on those spots of the board, and they will have some kind of good on them, such as food or stone or ideas or anything that is on this dark black background. That gives you 10 money. But those are going to always have something in those locations. On every other hex of the board, you are going to put the other trade good tiles. They will say trade goods on the back, and the ones that have things on them will remain. There are some. Steph, do you have them available?
They're on the way.
They're all put away
Yeah.
in this. I want to show a copy. So some of them will show an X like this. All of those that had X's on them, they're just removed from the board. Highly recommend. The game does not come with a bag. I highly recommend getting a bag, a big bag for putting out these tiles.
Just makes it easier to randomize.
Put this off the board. So the rules say that you should put one of these tokens in every hex with 6 sides. This is not accurate. If it looks like it should be a hex, put a tile in that hex. For example, this doesn't have 6 full sides. It does get one. This has 5 sides and the 6th side is down here somewhere. It also gets one. So if it looks like it should, it indeed does. There is a really, really good graphic with numbers on all of the spots that should have tiles. So be sure to reference that. This little partial hex right here does get one. Obviously it had an X. This one does not. These get some, these do not. So anyway, then you're going to create the starting technologies. And you're going to deal everyone 5 starting technologies. The starting technologies have an S up here in the corner. And then, now this isn't going to be what you start with. This is going to be what you are going to draft. Then all of the other cards, starting technologies and everything, go in the technologies deck up there. Depending on player count, you will either seed in an Empire scoring card into the bottom third or the middle third. In a 2-player or 3-player game, it's in the middle third of that deck. The Empire scoring cards is when one of the mid-game scorings happens, and that is the way to trigger, one of the ways to trigger the end of the game. So those are in technologies. You're going to do this similar thing with the build deck up there in the corner. You are going to put the Empire scoring card in the bottom half of that deck, regardless of player count. The population deck, you are going to put in a number of cards based on player count. 2-player or 3 players 10, 6 players 14. So it's not greatly different, but the Empire scoring card goes in the bottom half. Tax and tariff deck, again, goes by player count, anywhere between 10 and 14. Just check your rulebook for that. And the Empire scoring card in the bottom half. For those of you keeping track, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 Empire scoring cards that are in the decks. Just to give you guys a heads up, the game end is going to be triggered when the third of 4 Empire scoring cards is revealed, or 2 of the 3 following tiles have all been taken by players. The Wonders, way up in the upper left-hand corner, the Civilization Achievements, or the Golden Ages. There are 9 of these that are drawn randomly from 15. 9 Golden Ages, which are always there. So, as I mentioned, whenever you're playing 2 players, 2 regions are out of play. When playing 3 players, 1 region, Hispania, is out of play. That's why we're using that area, because this is a huge board. You will see us reach all the way across the table to have to deal these cards in. So select a starting player. Steph has been chosen as the starting player. Supposedly, how you're supposed to play, starting with the player to the right of the starting player, meaning the last player, we are supposed to draft a leader from all the ones available. How I really like to play it is how we played it when we were at BGGCon with Aldi. I take 2, she takes 2, and she will reveal hers first as start player. Then I can respond by choosing one as second, third, fourth player on through like that. Each of these leaders will have certain advantages. Look, like the general gets 20 money and an infantry unit, which you can place anywhere on the board. Notice Steph is pointing to my little infantry guy there on the board. Now, one of the Kickstarter advancements on this Colossus edition is the addition of minis. You do not have to use the minis. Steph, you don't have any infantry, do you?
No, put it away.
The infantry tokens will look, they just look like, this is actually a cavalry token, but it's the same sort of thing. On one side, it just shows a picture of a cavalry. On the other side, it says the word cavalry. So it really doesn't take away from the gameplay to have these on the board instead of the miniatures. Doesn't take away from the gameplay. Matter of fact, we played on a non-Colossus edition, and we thought this was just a fantastic game. So,
I do like the dual layer boards though.
Absolutely.
That's added.
That is another Kickstarter improvement. All of these are dual layer. There is also, this is the scoreboard that Aldi was looking for.
Yeah.
Remember when it said the scoreboard?
Yeah.
There is a huge scoreboard. I am probably, since we don't have room to place this on the board, I'm going to use a scorekeeper app. But it is a dual layer board as well.
Very nice.
I believe you had only one reference card.
And the basic one.
This edition has multiple copies of the reference cards, and you notice I have one copy of the rules down here. It comes with 2 copies of the rules. So,
or if it's not supposed to, we got 2.
If it's not supposed to, hey, guess what? This game also comes with Solitaire Rules by David Turksey. He does fantastic solo rules, as those of you who like solo play know. So be sure to check that out. Anyway, after we have selected our leader, now we can draft starting technologies. Take one, pass these to the next player clockwise. Obviously, in a 2-player game, we're just going to go back, pass them back and forth until we have our 5 starting technologies. So, and then we are going to play starting city, starting with the first player. She gets first choice of anything on the board. If she drops her city on top of a trade good or on top of a cache tile, C-A-C-H-E, cache tile, then she immediately gets it. And you placed yours on stone. You needed stone like crazy. So you got some stone. I chose some food. I got 8 food.
You also have no stone.
I also have no stone. So that doesn't mean I can't generate it, but you start off with no stone. So the normal game just has little cardboard counters. The Kickstarter version has these big chunky wooden tokens. Obviously, the larger tokens are for 5 of something. The smaller is 1 of something. So that is for food. Ideas look like this. And stone looks like this. Those are the 3 basic resources in the game. We also have money. The normal version has cardboard. Obviously, this has the nice looking metal coins, as well as all of the game trays for storage. So, take the benefits shown on the leader card and your starting technology cards that they are able to play. We can go ahead and play these if we want to, Steph, or you can just do it on your turn. It should be just fine. So now the game can begin. Steph is going first. On her turn, she can take 1 action. There are many things she can do, and like I say, they are all bite-sized chunks. One of the things that will actually be taken quite a bit is to work. That is to produce stone, food, or ideas. These are these 3 tracks here on your production track. How much are you going to produce? You're going to produce as many population as you have, plus however much production you have of that resource. Currently, I don't have any stone, food, or ideas generation here. So I can produce 6 stone or 6 food or 6 ideas because I have 6 population up here. Steph, you have 3
Food,
food population,
but
3
only
food production, and 5 population. So you could make 8 food. Now, the difference between population on the Kickstarter version and on the base game version, as you can see, you're just going to get these little cardboard tokens. And
I prefer it in this case because I can keep everything together.
absolutely. And obviously, there are larger versions of them for multiples of 5. Um, So I've got my different city types out here so you can see the difference between them. Here is a Kickstarter mini city, and here's what it would look like if you were just placing a city on the board. So anyway, work is to produce those 3 resources, and you're going to use those in order to get other things on the board. Um, Another thing you can do is to increase population. Those are with those green cards up there. You have 2 options at the moment. One of them is +2 population, one of them is +4. As you see, you pay some amount of food and you will increase by that many population. Obviously, population will increase your resource generation, so it's good to have. Um, if all of those population cards are gone and everything is used from both the deck and those 2 cards there, 15 food will get you +2 population. So even if those cards run out, it's okay. You can still generate population. The,
Costly.
the third thing out of 8 you can do is to build, and that is to found a new city or a town or build a project. So whenever you build, select one of those 5 build cards on the build card offer and pay the cost. If there's a farm or a manufacturing town, there's not going to be any cost. You just put it in front of you and gain the benefits. Draw a new card from the build deck and place it into the empty slot. It doesn't matter which of those 5 you get. It just depends on what type of card it influences the cost. It's not the position it is on the market as it is in some other games. If the card is a city or a port city or a project card, you pay the cost, put it in front of you, gain the benefits, and then um, you will put the city anywhere on the board. If it's a port city, you can put it on one of the port locations. Obviously, if you're building a city and not a port city, you cannot put it on a port location unless it is specifically a port city. Um, Whenever cities cost 4 stone and 2 population, you are going to lose some of your population by making the city.
It rough.
It's rough, but it's also worth it. Whenever a city is built, you're going to put 5 money into the holding area on the game board. What's that for? Well, that's going to be used whenever taxes and tariffs come into play. We will talk about that in a moment. Now, notice that is whenever a city is built, not whenever it is placed onto the board. We might have to look on the Geek for some facts on that in certain situations, but keep in mind that it's usually only when it is built, not when it is placed. Port cities also cost 4 stone and 2 population. Place the card in front of you, gain 10 money. Put your ports on the port hex. Take the fish tile. That's going to give you +3 food production. Regular cities and towns cannot be built on those spots. Whenever a port city is built, hey, you get to put 10 coins in the holding area. And again, we'll talk about that momentarily. The fourth, oh, sorry. I did forgot about towns and projects. Towns, you are going again. The cost is nothing. You're going to get the benefit shown on the card, and then you are going to build on a hex next to one of your cities. This is the cities can go anywhere on the board. The towns and the towns have to go next to an existing city, and you're going to get whatever little token shows up. If it's something like this, you see that it is just a horse, or it is a horse. Get a horse, and then you'll put that on your trade goods space. You are trying for unique trade goods in this case. Once you already have a horse trade good, getting another horse trade good is not going to help you any, other than to, I guess, keep you out of one of those trade goods, I guess. Um, so, at the end of the game, for every manufacturing town card that you own, you're going to score 5 victory points if you own all 3 trade goods that are on that card. I do not see one out there available for us, but it will be get 3 of the different types of metals, and then you can get the 5 victory points at the end of the game. Projects cost 5 stone and 5 ideas, and it will give you some kind of scoring at the end of the game. For example, this roads project is going to give you 1 victory point for every one of these coin symbols you have at the end of the game. And that leads me to this little topic, and that those are called pillars of civilization. Those are these symbols down here in the bottom corner that work a lot like the symbols do on terraforming Mars, where you're trying to collect enough of those symbols in order to be able to qualify to build certain technologies or to claim one of these golden ages. All of these golden ages, you will notice, requires that you have a certain number of these pillar symbols, and that's going to give you some sort of benefit and victory points at the end of the game. We'll talk a little bit more about those in a second. Um, the only of these tiles that do not go over on the trade goods are these cash tiles. These give you a one-time benefit. You do not put them on the trade goods spot. You just take them out of play. Um, the 4th thing out of 8 that you can do is to build a wonder. Select one of the available wonder tiles, pay the cost, and place the tile in front of you for scoring at the end of the game. Then you get to put the appropriate wonder in the normal version of the game. It is a tile like this. In the Kickstarter version, you're going to get a gray sculpted mini. They are all gray. None of them are colored, any sort of color. But you are going to place that in one of the regions in which you have at least one city. All of the wonders are available in the player aid. As you can see, they all have different effects.
They score differently. They
They
give you
will
abilities or whatever.
exactly, and the cost is right here on the board. The first wonder you build is going to cost 20 stone and 5 food. The second one is going to cost 25 stone and 10 food. It does not show the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ones on there, but you can build them. It's 5 additional stone and food for each wonder you build after 2. So it would be 30 and 15, or 35 and 20 as you go on up. Pumpy Tutor said, add money even if you didn't take a build card. Don't add money if an effect grants you a free city. Correct, correct. Exactly right.
I mean, it still says build a free city. I mean, so the word build is there.
I
but-
did forget to mention, you do not need a card up here in the build area if you want to build a certain thing. If you want to build a port city and there's not a port city card up there, that's okay. You can still do it for 4 stone and 2 population. You just do not get the benefit of anything that's up there. If you yeah, so as Pumpy Tutor says, you will add that money even if you don't take a build card, as long as you're building that city. Now, granted, you do want those cards. Those will give you tags.
Other awesome
yes,
things.
other awesome things for sure. So I would highly recommend getting the card versions if at all possible. Obviously, you're going to need a card for a project in order for that to be any good. You do not need anything up there for any of the other sort of things. At least I believe that is correct. Yes, it's always possible to build a city, port, or town for the usual cost without selecting a card. And that does give you presence in the empires for mid-game and end-game scoring. So, All right, we talked about wonders. The fifth of eight things you can do is technology, and this is a big, huge part of the game. Those are those five cards right there. In order to build a technology,
The deck.
it's a huge
It's
deck.
very large.
So, it costs you five ideas to build a technology. You must qualify to build it. For example, in order to build chemistry, you have to already have these two tags. These are the prerequisites. These are the tags that it will give you along with whatever benefit that is there.
You could take it into your hand and play it later, but yeah. In
Yes.
order to play it, you will have to have the tags.
Yeah. Pay five ideas into the supply. Select one of the five there. Place your card in front of you. Draw a new technology card and place it on the empty space. If you already own the prerequisite pillars, you can place the card face up and gain the benefits. If you do not, place the card face down. You can play it on one of your later turns. Keep in mind, playing technology cards does not count as your action. So any of these technology cards in your hand, you can play it at no action cost. You just play it and you'll get that benefit.
Yeah.
Um, if you see a 1x on anything, including leader abilities like this, that means you get it one time, period. And that is when the card is played. For this leader ability, she gets to do that one time to me on the entire game. She gets to steal one of my cities. So, um, the sixth thing you can do is to tax and tariff. That's this section down here. Select one of the tax and tariff cards down here and gain the amount of money from the supply shown on the card, as well as any money in the holding area over here. And that's when cities are built. You place the card in front of you, and you have to keep careful monitor of this unrest value. Unrest is worth negative points at the end of the game. We'll talk about that here in a bit. Once all of the tax and tariffs have been used, future tax actions are going to give you 2 money per population, plus government symbols, plus your tax productions. Future tariff actions will generate you 2 money per trade good, plus your number of cities, plus your tariff production. Your tax and tariff production are down here on the bottom 2 rows. General starts off with 10 plus 10 tax production, so that's already good right there. At the end of the game, you're going to total up all of your unrest on your tax and tariff cards and subtract unrest for wonders and leaders. Notice that Steph's leader has -3 unrest, so that's going to be good for her at the end of the game. If you have any remaining unrest, you're going to deduct that many VP from your score at the end of the game. So tax cards will generate you money based on your population and your pillars and your tax production. Tariffs are going to generate based on trade good tiles and your tariff production. Money is the best currency, obviously. Whenever you want to, whenever you're short a resource, you could pay 2 money for every 1 stone or food or idea that you're replacing. So if I wanted to get one of those technologies up there, but I don't have 5 ideas, boom, I pay 10 coins, and boom, I have bought those 5 ideas. Money talks, huh? The seventh thing you can do is to recruit military. Um, so whenever you're recruiting, you can recruit infantry or cavalry. If you own the siege engine technology, you can also do a siege engine. You pay 5 money for each military unit that you recruit, and you may recruit up to 2 new units in 1 turn. And you must place them anywhere in any region that you have at least one of your cities. If you're the general like me, hey, you get to recruit 3 military units instead of 2, but hey, they come at a cost. Military units are in a region. My military guy here is just wandering in Egypt. It doesn't matter what hex you place him in. He is just in the region. Whenever you take a military action, not only can you recruit, you can also move units at a cost. It's going to cost 1 coin per unit per region. I believe that is the case. Let me look. Yes, move from a region to an adjacent region. Um, Italy and Numidia are adjacent. Italy and Greece, Hispania and Numidia and Egypt are indeed um, adjacent. Greece is not adjacent to Egypt, obviously. Um, so if I wanted to spend 1 coin, boom, I can move to this purple region. And that will give me presence in that region. Um, you don't use military units to tear down cities, to tear down towns, to mess with wonders. You're just going to put them just in unused areas of the region. The last thing you can do is to build your government. Select one of the available government tiles. There are several of them, and they also are on your reference card. So make good use of them. Select one of these governments, pay the cost, put it in front of you. There are 6 government tiles: city state, oligarchy, theocracy, tyranny, republic, and monarchy, each with its own benefits and drawbacks. You can only have one government at a time. If you already have a government, you have to put your old government back, and other players can then buy it. If you own a government, you can clear one of the offers: build, population, technology, or tax and tariff, by taking all of those cards, putting them on the bottom of that deck, and putting new cards out. And this could be used to try to cycle out those empire scoring cards. Um, you can do it as a free action on your turn, but you can do it once per game per government tile. Once you use it, flip the government tile over so that arrow is then face down. Now notice that you have to have certain tags in order to even qualify to get certain of these governments. So, um, talk a little bit about the Golden Age and Civilization achievements. As soon as you qualify for those, you can claim them on your turn. You take it, put it in front of you, and you're going to get those victory points at the end of the game. You do get the benefits shown on the tile immediately. That is not your action for the turn. There's no limit to the number of those you can claim. They are going to give you 6 points for every one of those you can claim, so I highly recommend you get as many as possible. In the game that we played, we both focused on getting those. You got 6 of them, but you had a bonus of 2 points each for 6 times 8. Yeah. I got 8 of them for 6 each. We got the same score, yeah, and we both did really well on those pieces. Anyway, whenever an empire scoring card is revealed from any of the 4 decks, the empire scoring will occur. So go ahead and finish your action, and then at the end of your turn, players are going to score points for each region that is in play. The 2 players with the most influence are going to score points. Each wonder and city are worth 2 points each. Each town and military is 1 point of influence each. Whoever has the what? Where is? Oh, how about that? It's right there in the bottom corner there. And so the player with the most influence is going to get 3 victory points plus 1 victory point per city and wonder in that region, no matter who owns those wonders and cities. The second most will get 2 whopping victory points, which is not bad, but it's just a little minor fraction of what you're going to get if you have the most. In the case of a tie, all tied players get the full amount. In the case of a second tie for second place, the tied players get nothing. Government tiles will also, some of the government tiles will let you score points during each empire scoring round. The game is going to continue like that until the 3rd empire scoring card is revealed, or 2 of the 3 things have been taken away with the Golden Ages, the Civ advancements, and the wonders up there in the far corner. Then, when either one of those occurs, perform that 3rd empire scoring, then finish the current round, not including the start player, which is why you get this monstrous start player token, obviously only in the Kickstarter version. This thing is as as big as the palm of my hand and super thick, thicker than my thumb, or as thick as my thumb. Anyway, you are the start player, so I would get the last turn, and then one more full round. Then we're going to do end game scoring. Um, you've already accounted the victory points for the 3 Empire scoring rounds. You've already gotten points for certain technology cards. In addition, you're going to get 2 victory points for every city on the board, 1 victory point for every town on the board. You're going to get your victory points for your wonder tiles. You're going to get victory points for your golden ages and your civ achievements. You're going to get victory points for your project cards. Remember the things that say get, for instance, 1 victory point for every hammer that you have on those pillars. You're going to get victory points on certain technology cards. Some of them will say question mark VPs, like that construction one right there has a little VP symbol. Some things like art will just get you a static amount of victory points. Each manufacturing town card has those trade goods. Do you have those trade goods? If so, 5 victory points. Finally, subtract your unrest value. Obviously, negative unrest is good, positive unrest is bad. So if you end up the game with like +3 unrest, you're going to lose 3 victory points. You are not going to gain, well, I don't know. Let me see. Subtract the number of net unrest. I wonder, it does not say. I don't think you get victory points for having negative unrest. I'm going to have to check that. Anyway, that is basically how to play Mosaic. The game looks harder than it is. All of the crunchy goodness is all in the cards. And in the
And the
cards,
choices.
there are so many good choices. Choices of government, choices of wonder, choices of where to place your things, choices on where to put your infantry units if you decide to dabble in military. I would not recommend that you go, even though I'm the general, I would not recommend going only military and not getting cities, because I think Aldi tried that and he ended up not scoring all of those tasty city points. So yeah, highly
The box is so
recommend.
big.
Highly recommend this game. Look how thick this box is. I mean, I highly recommend this game, and can't wait to play my second game of Mosaic, which is going to come up right after this. Be sure to stick with us, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, there's a comment in the chat from Lord of Cardboard. This is an excellent game. Love it. That just goes to show.
Yes.
It's really good.
I agree with him. Hundo P, which is a term that Aldi got us starting to say. Hundo P.
It's great. So follow the next, watch the next video for the full playthrough that we're going to go through right now.